Hello, welcome to the final chapter of my furry life. Today we're at the Sky Bowl at Shirley Chisholm Park in Brooklyn. Looks like a Tekken stage. I know. But the walk up here could have been a video in itself because it's a hike. It's a literal hike. You can see I'm elevated and I forgot my phone on halfway here, so I had to go back. So it took me like maybe an hour to get here. So yeah, let's get on with the show. So, what I forgot to mention last time, before I went cold turkey, F to F. The site that this all started on was gone. They weren't paying the bills anymore. It was over. Lights out. So it felt very ironic that I was thinking about calling it quits the same time F to F goes down. It's like we both can't coexist, without the other. So all those great memories, I'll never forget them. RIP F to F. Now I was about to embark on the Furry Farewell Tour, and I've just gotten a brand new fursona. And the reason I got a new fursona is because I was trying to rejuvenate my love for the furry fandom. I thought maybe making a new character, giving him a epic backstory would do that for me. It would make me interested in going back to cons and doing it all over again. But as you can see, or as you will find out, that was not the case. But I still love creating Wakanda. I loved writing his backstory. I love designing him. He was awesome. And Menagerie Workshop are the people that brought him to life. They do really great work, and shout out to them. You know, sorry I didn't get to wear him more often, but he's still with me, still at my house. All right. First stop on the Furry Farewell Tour, aka the Hunt for Syrus, is Rainforest, and that's a con in Seattle, Washington. And I've never been to that con before. This is my first time going. So Pizza Chef was there. Pizza Chef goes to every con, so I can always rely on him to provide some support or at least a little entertainment. Because if he wasn't there, I would have been bored as hell. It was just very mediocre. A lot of baby furs go there. You can tell by the artwork on the hotel doors. And I don't know what it is about West Coast cons. I feel like they're a little more cliquish. Like people already have their set of friends and they don't want anyone new to come in and disrupt the society or, the routine or whatever, the foundation. So I was rooming with Pizza Chef and his husband at the time, Mist, R.I.P. Mist, is a wonderful person. I didn't get to know him that well, but from what I could see, he was all around great dude. And we miss you, buddy. So at this con, the most notable thing that happened is I got drunk and I started hitting on the girl that was on the Tyra Banks show. Her name was Chew Fox, and she's the person that coined one of my favorite furry terminologies, which is SPH, which stands for strategically placed holes. I love saying that to this day, and we're still good friends to this day. She is an awesome person, and we kicked it, and I got to know her. I tried out for the dance comp. I couldn't get in. This will be a recurring theme for this chapter. Me trying to hey, I'm a dance champion now. I can get into any dance comp I want. That's not the case. Me and Pizza Chef went to the tower, the spear, the little, the point, the pointy thing. The the space needle. There you go. That was a highlight. But other than that, Rainforest just kind of came and went. No sign of Syrus. After that, in October, that was September 2014, so we're going into October. I go to New York Comic Con for actually the second time. I actually went the year before. But this time I was going with Yoko and Twilight, and we were all cosplaying. I was Chris Redfield, Yoko was Sheva Olimar, Resident Evil 5, and Twilight was Harley Quinn. Of course she is. And, oh man, so many bugs here. Uh, Last time I went, I met Jason David Frank for the first time. Another rest in peace. He was my childhood hero growing up. If you don't know, Jason David Frank was the Green Ranger from Power Rangers, then the White Ranger, then the Red Zeo Ranger, and then the Red Turbo Ranger, and then the Black Dino Ranger. Yeah, he's been around the block. So I got him to sign my Power Rangers Anthro picture with all of us in fursuit, and he said it's anthropomorphin time on camera. Link that video down there. And this time around, Twilight wanted a picture with him, so I was like, I didn't get a picture with him last time, so I'm going to do that too. So she gets the picture with him, I get a picture with him, and then I don't know what came over me, but when I talk to celebrities, I don't like to ask them like boring questions. I usually ask them, how's your con going? How are you doing? But this time around, I asked him a weird question. I'm like, hey, you see that girl right there? I was pointing to Twilight. What if I came to your table and proposed to her? Would you be okay with that? And he said, yeah, man, that'd be awesome. Just come down tomorrow. Tell him JDF sent you. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, man, that'd be dope. So he was totally about it. And I guess I said it as a joke. I just wanted to see what would he say to someone proposing at his table. Maybe it's happened before. So I tell Twilight this information. I'm like, yo, guess what? Jason David Frank said we could get proposed or engaged at his table. And she says, like, why didn't you do it? And I'm like, excuse me? Like, why didn't you? I'm like, you have somebody, you have a boyfriend or you have a fiance. And she's like, so I would have done it anyway. And that's when the worst possible idea started brewing in my mind. I don't know if she was being serious. It doesn't matter if she was being serious, but I thought I still had a chance with her. But after all this time, after all these years, maybe I still had a chance with Twilight, and maybe this is how my story was supposed to end. With the girl I had a crush on for all these years. Get away from me. Oh my god, I'm gonna get so big. Maybe walk around. So, yeah, I decided, unfortunately, that I would make a move on her, but not just anytime soon. I'll make a move on her on my last FurryCon, Anthrocon 2015. And yeah, I already see you thinking, wow, that's a bad idea. And yeah, but we're going to put a pin in that for now. So we ended up going on the Adult Swim boat party that someone told me about, and it was completely free. You just had to show up. And it was a blast. Run the Jewels was there. They were performing. Got a lot of cool pictures. The boat went around New York. So that was really cool. And it was way better than last year. Like I went to my first Comic Con with my uncle, and he felt like he was just rushing through everything, and I wasn't having a good time. But this time I did. I had a way better time, and I'm going back this year for the first time since that time. So I hope I have at least as good a time as I did last time I went. All right, rambling. So it's November, and I decide I'm going to do another birthday party because I'm turning 25. That's right, 25 years old. Where does the time go? So I have a party. I invite anybody that's still like communicates with me, like NY Furs. Of course, John is there. He's finally graduated from college, so he's living back in New York. Uh, Yoko's there, of course, and just a few locals. They come out and show support, and it's not as wild as the other ones. This one was more low key. I did something cool. I decided to show like 4 of my favorite movies with subtitles on, so if people didn't want to like drink or dance, they could just watch a movie. So the movies were Attack the Block, The Raid Redemption, Fast Five, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Eventually, we just stopped doing what we were doing and just started watching the movies because they were so awesome. Like I remember when The Raid came on, people were like, "Whoa, what is this movie?" Like, go watch The Raid Redemption. You won't regret it, I promise you. After that, I'm gonna try to go a little slow. I don't want to forget anything. I want to make sure I get every single detail out. Everything.
I knew I was gonna forget something. So I actually did a follow-up to that Ghost Tits trailer I did back in chapter 6, and this one was like way more epic and more elaborate, and I put a lot of time and effort into it. It's called Ghost Tits Returns, starring Osama bin Diesel, and we shot it mostly over the summer of 2014, but I used some footage from AC 2011 that never got used. Like we were supposed to do like a short movie or something, but that never happened. So I decided to splice that footage into new one to make it like a mystery, like what happened to the old detective. So you can check that out in the description below. It's like the last legit video I ever made for YouTube. So I hope you enjoy it.
I decide for my farewell tour, I'm gonna do three more fur meets. I'm gonna come out of retirement, do three more fur meets. So I think the first one was the classic: come to my house, play video games, and then we'll go to White Castle. And yeah, it's a classic. Goes off without a hitch. And then MFF 2014 starts to roll around, and it's where things get interesting because this convention I was rooming with a bunch of people who were like, I'm going to call them sex educators, and they were hosting like this. I don't want to call it a fetish party, but it was like a positive like sex party, teaching you different sexual techniques to do on your partner and stuff like that. But man, this party got wild, and this was like the first time I realized, like, yo, like girls are in the fandom, they're in the house right now, because there was a lot of women there, and yeah, they find me attractive too, so we'd be flirting, and I'd be at a room party and be like, hey, like, check out my chest, and then be like, hey, check out my chest. I got some crazy ass pictures from that room party. I got a montage of Pizza Chef just losing his shit, laughing, cracking up. I think it was like 10, 15 photos of him just laughing. I know at one point there was like cake smeared on someone's like cleavage. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Midwest Fur Fest also reintroduced me. Remember Anthrocon 2014, where I went to that room party and I met that girl very, very briefly. She was drunk and she showed no interest in me. Well, she was back at this con and she was friends with Pizza Chef's friend, and her name, we'll call her Kay. Her name is Kay, and I'm like, hey, you remember me? And she's like, nope. So I'm like, cool. So I'm still like trying to spit game to her. She doesn't seem interested, but she's down to hang. So we hang out at that con, and we get to know each other a little bit. She puts me in her phone as that Puerto Rican dude and that Puerto Rican guy, and I put her in my phone as like that white chick or that thick white chick or something like that. So again, we hung out. I didn't think of anything of it. We followed each other on Twitter. Oh, that's right. This is the year I got a Twitter, because the whole chapter I'm like reminiscing through my furry life. I'm putting flashback Fridays. So I'm talking about basically all the stuff I told you in these videos. I'm talking about them every Friday. Like Power Rangers Anthro or F to F or my first con. I'm posting about them every Friday on Twitter because I guess I wanted a place where I can just catalog all the stuff. But also I wanted the social experience too, because back at the time, like Twitter was pretty booming. Everybody had one, so I was like, all right, let me like break down and finally join everybody, see what all the hype is about, and I could follow my friends and whatnot. And I wish I got it sooner because I think I would have made more connections that way. But better late than never. So we followed each other on Twitter, and this was the con where a chlorine bomb went off. We had to evacuate the building. This was on the news, folks. Chlorine bomb goes off. I'm on my way to a Wu-Tang Clan party. I don't even bother with dance tryouts. I'm like, I just want to chill. So I'm going to the Wu-Tang Clan party, and then people are telling me, oh, you got to leave. You got to exit. And I'm like, why? So later to find out, someone set off a chlorine bomb. I don't know if they found out who did it. It's probably a non-furry. But it was crazy, man. We were like outside wondering, like, is there a terrorist attack happening? Like, what beef do they want with furries? So I ended up going to like the one of the overflow hotels and staying at a friend's room just to wait till the heat dies down. I ended up checking out the aftermath, and it's pretty weird. It's just like white powder on the floor. Again, I don't know who would do that. My suspicions say Syrus, but I don't think it was him. And that was MFF in a nutshell. Then the end of 2014, I do the New Year's Furry Ball for I think the third time. I get there late, but I always go there as like a last resort if I don't have anything to do for New Year's. Like the year prior, I did my own New Year's party, and that was pretty fun. But I was like, I might as well do it one more time. And I rolled in with Coon, and basically New Year's Furry Ball always devolves into like the one room party in the presidential suite, which is usually hosted by the same guy. And I had this bright idea to like go down in the lobby and just a towel. Uh, I met up with this guy named Roberto. If you guys know Roberto, man, he used to be wild. Now he's domesticated, but he's a wild soul. So I'm like, yo, let's go to the lobby and just our towels. He's like, yeah. So I had boxers underneath. I didn't want to like cause a stir. He just went straight up buck naked under his towel, and he started flashing his dick. And then con security got pissed off at us, and then they try to act all tough on Twitter the next day, like, yeah, you guys are banned. Don't ever come back here. Blah blah. I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy. In reality, he's like, yeah, we're gonna need you to go upstairs. You're kind of that's not allowed, like flashing people. So that was the end of 2014. Uh, Next stop on the Furry Farewell Tour, we're going to Further Confusion, where I got my first fursuit in in San Jose. And for the first time ever, I roomed with complete strangers. I didn't know who these people are. I met them maybe through Twitter, actually. Twitter, and then we talked on Skype. And they seemed normal enough. So I was like, I'm gonna bet my chips on you guys. I'm gonna room with you. Pizza Chef had his room already, and fortunately, he was dealing with a lot of drama that con. He stayed in his room like the entire time. But I went, and I knew him, and JFO went as well. But he was like focused on the masquerade because he would like do a performance every year. So I don't know. I was just doing my thing. Couldn't get in the dance comp again. It's wild. So I was just like, what do I do to pass the time? And then realized, well, it's my 28th con. Maybe if I like play like a little game, I'll touch like 28 people's butts with permission. I asked permission first, like 14 guys, 14 girls, and that's what I ended up doing. I was just that bored. They had a party floor, which is a whole floor covered in plastic, so you spill something, no big deal. And I made a friend there, and she was helping me with the challenge. She was helping me like get the girls on my side to fondle them. And had an edible at that con, and it hit at, I'll say, a very very pristine moment. In a moment of pleasure, so to speak. It hit at the right time. So that was the most memorable thing that happened there. That and someone put like a bunch of plants in the elevator. I don't know why. But again, West Coast cons, it's harder for me to make friends there. I did talk to this girl. She was a pup, and pup play is basically where people wear pup hoods and act like a dog. And she was telling me she was getting shunned from this one party. I'm like, that's messed up because she was a girl. Um, I was just really fucked up, and we were kicking it for a little bit. I was telling her about my life. She's like, "What are you doing here? Like, what's your goal and stuff?" And just told her like, I guess my Cliff Notes version of my experience in the fandom, and I told her about Twilight, and she's like, "Oh wow, that's so great! Like, you should tell her how you feel." And I'm like, "Should I?" She's like, "Yeah, So of course, a stranger's gonna give you really bad advice." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And that con is where I got my first glimpse of Syrus. Another dream sequence. I'm chasing him through the streets of San Jose, ducking and dodging through trolleys. I was supposed to write this story and post it on Fur Affinity, but for whatever reason, I was busy, I was lazy, I did not. I regret that because I want to finish these stories. I want to complete it. So that was Further Confusion. Then we move into February, and I meet someone from Starbucks, and she's working around the corner from me. I'm still at the New York Sports Club. It's going well, by the way. I had some decent coworkers there. Oh, it's starting to rain again. Uh, but yeah, I meet this girl from Starbucks, and it's funny how we met because I wasn't trying to talk to her at all. We were closing, and then we have like an overnight crew who does deep cleaning once a week. She wanted to use the bathroom. I don't know why she wanted to use our bathroom when Starbucks has one. And the cleaning guys were like, "Yo, let's just let her use the bathroom." I'm like, "No, I want to go home." They let her use the bathroom. She does her thing. And then this guy is encouraging me, like, "Yo, walk her to the train." I'm like, yeah, crazy, right? So I walk her to the train. Her name is Kat. And, we kind of hit it off. We I don't know what we talked about, but it involved something to do with if we had a partner, they would have to be down to hide the body if we commit murder. That's something to the extent of our conversation. And I don't know, I liked her. She had like a really dark sense of humor, which I dug. I was like, cool, I'll be seeing you around. And eventually, we exchanged numbers, and she rode the same train as me. She rode the D train. She lived by Coney Island. I was living at Sunset Park at the time, so I was like, oh, cool. Like we have an excuse to talk to each other. And she told me she got out of a relationship uh, over the holidays, and she wasn't looking for anything serious. And I'm like, okay, fine, fine by me. So we ended up in a friends with benefits relationship because we're so close. But we didn't even like sleep each other. We didn't even sleep with each other right away. We were just hanging out and just getting to know one another, uh, shooting the shit, and that was really nice. And she didn't give a shit about me being a furry. I told her all about it. She actually knew Xerxes, which was funny. Uh, my boy Xerxes, not the one that licked my face. By the way, I found that Xerxes at one of the cons, and I brought that to his attention, and he pretended he didn't know what I was talking about. It's bullshit. But yeah, he knew one of my friends because she was from Long Island, and yeah, it's a small world, man. New York is a very small world. So we were kicking it, and eventually I just asked her out on a formal date, just for fun. I'm like, let's go on a date. It's just for fun. Let's see what happens. I got dressed up. I was wearing uh, a suit jacket, a gray suit jacket to this date. Like, I don't know why. All we did was like we went to the promenade in Brooklyn, and then we went to get ice cream, and then we went to like an Italian restaurant. It was like an early date because she had to do something. But I don't know why I dressed up for that. Eventually, I did write a song about her. It's called Unexpected. And again, this was just casual friends. And then eventually we did start fooling around and, sleeping at each other, sleeping with, at each other's houses. Jesus Christ. Me trying to talk. But again, she made it clear, like, yeah, we keep doing this as friends. So the next stop on the Furry Farewell Tour, after that, actually, no, I did have a fur meet that March, which she actually came to the tail end of. And this was at the High Line Park in Manhattan, which was still fairly new at the time. And me and a bunch of furries just we walked through it, and then we walked through the village, and went to the big gay ice cream shop, and we ended it over at St. Mark's at the Barcade. Like out of all the three, that was the most successful for me because we actually like went out and did stuff. So that was good. And I met a girl named Kit, and I introduced her to my friend Yoko, and they hit it off, and they had a whole thing for a while. So yeah, I'm really good at playing matchmaker. So yeah, back to FWA Furry Week in Atlanta. Um, Again, I've never had a bad Furry Week in Atlanta. This was no different. But the wrench this time around, I actually like went to Omegle. If you guys know what Omegle is, it's like a webcam thing. They connect you with random people on webcam. There's a lot of penises on there. But a lot of furries like to go on it in fursuit. So I met this girl. I don't even remember her name. She was from Georgia. She was looking for a room for FWA, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to FWA. Like, if you're cool, you should room with me and my friends. Now, she did show me a red flag. Like one night we were talking on Skype, and she was talking about some really dark shit. I was like, oh, she's probably having a bad day. No, not at all. So she ended up rooming with us, and I guess she assumed that we were gonna be a thing. Like, was I flirting with her? Yeah, of course I was. Like, I like to flirt and you know talk to girls. Like, this was still a new thing for me. After all those years talking with guys, now I finally got girls' attention. So it was fun to just have that new avenue of communication. But what I didn't realize at the time is, a lot of these girls, they might they don't take things at surface level. They take things, you know, they take it really like meaningful. What I'm trying to say is, it might be flirting to me, but to them it might be more. So she thought like, I don't know, we were gonna start dating or be a couple. I'm not sure, but I told her like no, we're just here as friends. And she took it the wrong way. She acted out. She took a random stranger to our bathroom and like fucked them in the shower, that sort of thing. She walked around naked in our hotel room, just in front of everybody. Yoko, Philadelphia dog, pizza chef. She did not give a fuck. I try to make it up to her. I'm like, hey, like let me buy you some food. And yeah. And then when it came time to asking for her share of the room, she just gave me like this death stare. She's like, "You really expect me to pay?" Like, I don't know how the communication got misinterpreted, but I guess she thought that I was going to pay for her, which was not the case. And I wasn't asking for much. I was asking for like $70 for like the whole weekend. But yeah, that was like that was a bust. But the rest of the con was fun, and I made some new friends there. Uh, and I did Floor Wars for the first time. Floor Wars is basically dance battles, head to head. You could be in fursuit or not. And me and Yoko, we did Floor Wars together, well separately, but we supported each other. And when I went up and did my set, they play. We don't know what music they're to play. It's all random. They play this really corny ass song that I could not get down to. I can't get jiggy with this shit. So I just did my best. I did my like breakdance moves and shit. And I mean, I looked good, but it wasn't to the beat, and I lost the first round. Yoko lost in her first round. She should have won, but at least we tried. We wanted to go to the strip club, but the strip club is closed on Sundays. Even dancers have to go to church. But yeah, that was FWA. Very very interesting con indeed. So we're going into May. All right. Ooh, I'm not supposed to be here. So we're going into May, and Kat tells me that she wants to take things to the next level. She wants to be a real couple with me. And, in my mind, I'm like, well, I still want to like reveal these feelings to Twilight. Also, I'm getting all this new attention now. I kind of want to like explore that a little more. So I turn her down. And yeah, she did not take it very well, you know. I was getting a lot of subtweets, a lot of subtweets from her. She would ask like, why can't we, be a thing? Like what's wrong? And I'll try to explain like, well, you're moving to Long Island, and I just got used to being casual, blah blah, all this bullshit. Oh, there was all excuses, you know, very weak ass excuses. I should have told her the truth right then and there. And I can't say she didn't fight for me. And you gotta understand that people are not you're not guaranteed people's time or affection. You can't take it for granted. Even if you don't think it's going to work out, you still need to appreciate what they're giving to you. And you should at least give them the respect to properly say why you don't want to give it a shot. I didn't do that right away, and I regret that. I regret hurting her feelings, and I regret hurting anyone's feelings. That's not who I am. I'm the person that makes people happy, brings them together. And slowly, I was becoming like the villain of this story. So she eventually moves to Long Island and she starts dating this other guy from OK Cupid, and she tells me about it. And she's like, "Yeah, I met this guy, but whatever." She was very she was downplaying it, but I was happy for her. I was like, "Hey, you're going you're seeing someone new. I hope it works out for you." I was being very genuinely supportive. And also at some point Twilight got married to the guy she was seeing, and I was happy for her too, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, she actually went through with it. Okay, maybe I wasn't happy. Like, that doesn't make sense. I don't remember how I felt. Let's go with that. So it just like made me question, like, should I even bother with this? Should I just like stop this? So there's a lot of emotions going through that time. A lot of new emotions. I got on the one hand, I got this girl invested in me. She wants to give it a shot. Then it's like the girl I've been pining for. I still want to know if I have a chance with her. So it's real TV sitcom bullshit. Eventually, Dream comes back to the States for a visit, and we have a heart to heart about all the things I've been going through. And in his dream logic, he just basically says, like, yo, trust your gut to that extent. Or he rains some wisdom on me. And we have a barbecue while he's here, and we watch The Room for old time's sake. So it was good to have him back for a little bit. Things felt normal for once. And then AC was around the corner, man. It was slowly approaching like a time bomb. And decided to have another dead dog dance in my backyard. Dead dog dance step 3. So I was gonna like present it as a furry going away party. Like this would be my last bash in the fandom. And this whole time, I've been texting the girl from MFF, K, and asked her just out of pure curiosity. I didn't think she was gonna say yes at all. I asked her if she wanted to come to the Dead Dog Dance. She said yeah. She lived in Pennsylvania. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I'll come. I'll stay the weekend. I'm like, okay, fine. That's cool with me. So she came down, and then other people were staying at my house. Twilight was there. Coon, Yoko eventually showed up, and we're kicking it. We go to Dinosaur Barbecue. We go to Coney Island. Like a pre party thing, and we have the dance. And while it wasn't as crazy as step 2, because step 2 was off the chain, man. It was wall to wall people, hot as hell. This one was more low key, wasn't as much dancing, but we also broke the night again, and we ended it at White Castle as per tradition. And for the slideshow, I put pictures of my furry life through all 10 years. All 10 years of my furry life was on display for everyone to see, the good, the bad, the ugly. Even Pichu came back in the mix. I hadn't seen him in like 2.5 years. He broke things off with C, and he was finally free. And the reason I'm not friends with C anymore, I can only speak on my behalf, is that they were spreading false rumors about me on Tumblr. And yeah, you want to hate me for the right reasons. Don't hate me because of a lie or some bullshit someone made up because they probably pissed that I wasn't giving them the time of day. Like according to them, like someone from Long Island, I guess, said I was like trying to take advantage of them, which is not true. So I cut C off. My friends cut them off for other reasons. But yeah, everybody at this dead dog dance had a great time. Uh, Natasha showed up. We weren't really talking like that ever since I left the fandom, and she stood me up for that quiet party. But she was there, and she fell asleep in my bed. We had someone wear the rock mask. That was cool. Was Remix there? I don't remember. We had a Christmas tree with Kool-Aid packets. Had brand new lighting. We had a beach ball that glue in the dark, but it quickly deflated. It deflated in like 10 minutes. So it was another great party. Very memorable. At one point, all the guys took their shirts off, and we had like a photo shoot outside. It was ridiculous. Um, and yeah, Kay stood with me the entire weekend. And again, I didn't think she had any interest in me at all. But eventually she did show interest in me. She was like, hey, like you don't have to sleep on the floor, you can sleep in the bed with me. I'm like, okay, you know. And I thought she was cute, but I thought at that moment that she just wasn't interested. But I guess I was wrong. And we went to a fur meet the next day on Staten Island, and we had good chemistry together. I'm not gonna lie. It was very, again, unexpected. A lot of unexpected things happened in this chapter. And eventually we linked up again. We hung out in Philadelphia, and we went to Taboo. I think it was like Furry night there, where Philadelphia Dog was working. So we did that, and we had another great time together. And she wanted to hang out at Anthrocon. I was like, yeah, we can hang out at Anthrocon. Got nothing going on there. Uh, she also was supposed to move to Florida, so she said like, yeah, like whatever happens, don't get attached to me. I'm moving to Florida, and I'm like, copy. Got a lot on my plate already. So yeah.
Also, before AC, I did one final NY Fur meet, and that was at the Brooklyn Bridge Park. But it was raining, so it was pretty much a bust, and we ended up coming back to my place and playing video games. So, yeah, that's it for the fur meets I hosted. I mean, I guess some people had fun. That's what matters, right?
And now, before Anthrocon, um, Kat is still guilt tripping me for not being a couple with her. So I decide I'm going to tell her the truth of why I can't be with her. So I told her, like, hey, like, there's this girl I've been liking for years, and I want to see if I still have a shot with her. And she understands. She's like, yeah, I get it. You should have just said that. You should have just told me right away. Like, I totally understand. But she asked me, like, well, what happens if she says no? She turns you down. And I just kind of like shrugged. I'm like, I don't know. Never really thought of that. Guess I'm in the exact same position I was already. But she's like, well, like she turns you down, you should tell me. I'm like, no, I'm not going to let you wait for me. That's fucked up. I'm not going to let you wait for me and be someone's second choice. That's messed up. Um, so a few days later, she tells me that she's gonna like take things to the next level with the guy from OK Cupid. She's like, hey, did you tell Twilight how you felt? Yeah, I'm like, no, I didn't. Why? She's like, oh well, I'm going with this guy. Like, what's up? I'm going with this guy, and that's final. And I tell her like, great, cool, good luck to you. So after that, I feel like a piece of shit. I feel like crap. I'm like, why do I feel so awful right now? And then I'm just thinking, and I realize like maybe I do have feelings for this girl. Maybe there was something special, and I just didn't realize it at the time, which is stupid. It's like you should realize it, even if it was something I never had before. At this point, this was the closest thing I've ever had to a girlfriend. We just didn't have the label. So I realized like maybe I made a terrible mistake, and I should like go back after her. Does that sound familiar? So I tell her, I call her on the phone. I'm like, hey, like, I think we should give this a shot. She's like, oh, really? Now you want to do it? Now you want to do things? I'm like, yeah, I think, I made a mistake. She's like, no, like, I'm with this guy now. You do your thing, I do my thing. She was right for that. She was totally in the right for telling me those things. I have no right to try and get her back when she gave me the green light. Like, I had 2 solid months to be like, hey, yeah, let's do it. But didn't want to take no for an answer. I kept trying. And Anthrocon was still approaching, still slowly approaching. For AC, I decided since I can't get into dance competitions anymore, I was gonna do the masquerade, and I was gonna put on a 6 minute extravaganza. And I was gonna have a slideshow playing on the screens, and it'll show pictures from the many years at Anthrocon. I don't know which AC this was. Maybe it was like the 15th anniversary or the 19th. I don't know. But that was my idea for AC. Like, this is like my final furry con. I'm going to go out with a bang. And honestly, I don't remember even practicing for that. But we'll get back to that later. But the hunt for Syrus had gone cold. At FWA, it was a brief encounter at the Sundial at the Westin Hotel. But he got away. But this time, he showed himself to me, not as himself, but as a version of me 10 years in the future. So, like 35-year-old me that had never experienced the furry fandom at all. And he happened to be like a way more successful person. He had money, he had good looks, he had charm. And I recognized him from when I went back into the dream cleansing ritual in the last chapter. I was like, yeah, I remember you. I saw you. And I was back to my 15-year-old self when I started this whole process, this whole story, back to the beginning. And this was meant to be the final battle. Like, I had a battle within myself, then the rematch. This was supposed to be the final battle. And again, I did not get to write it. So I'm going to tell you what should have happened. So basically, this final battle would have me going through important events in my furry life, but twisted on their head, like in the worst possible way. Like, remember when I came out to my mom about Alpha? This time she hated it. She disowned me. Or when I was going through the Sugar Wolf crisis, it would be Lowell telling me like I would make a bad mate, and my cousin would have like problems during birth. Uh, for chapter 3, it would have been Twilight telling me like that she didn't want to be my friend and that I wasn't worthy, something like that. Or chapter 4 would be like the night I lost my virginity, and he would make me feel like it was an even bigger piece of shit for him going against his religious beliefs. Chapter 5 would have been a Furmy, and then people saying I'm not a good leader for the NY Furs. Chapter 6 would have been Latin Vixen telling me I'm not a good enough to be a fursuiter. Chapter 7 would have been me at MFF and people trying to sexually assault me. Chapter 8 would have been Natasha telling me that I was a loser and that no one would date me. And then chapter 9 would have been me getting arrested at the damn church where I met Wakanda. So I would have went through all that to finally come face to face with Syrus once again. The first fight was against wrath. Second fight was against lust. This one was against vanity. So we're at the top of the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm 25 years old again, and we start fighting. And then eventually we take the fight to Anthrocon on top of the convention center. And I change into my Wakanda form. And he changes into Syrus, his true form. And we fight. And then eventually he gives me a killing blow to the gut. And I'm separated from Wakanda. He separates us. And with Wakanda's dying breath, he decides to give me my old fursona back. He gives me the power to change back into Frisky. And not only that, my friends showed up to help me in the battle because Syrus had his undead group of anthros, his army. So Yoko came, Ket came, Dream came, Pesky, Twilight. They came to my aid. They were ready to fight by my side. And not only that, but this light comes, and then these other people come. Turns out all the people that rejected me in the past, they were there to give my friends the ability to morph along with me and become the true Power Rangers Anthro. And there's actually a picture that Yoko drew for me that actually illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. So Kaz comes back, gives a morpher to Ket. Lobo comes back, gives one to Pesky. Ron comes back, gives one to Twilight. Natasha comes back, gives one to Yoko. And Alpha comes back, he gives one to Dream. And now, since we're standing all together, it's anthropomorphin time. And we have a big epic battle against Syrus and his army. And then eventually, when Syrus is finally on the back foot, he switches into like this big demonic form and he reveals he has amnesia bombs ready to go off and erase my entire furry history from my mind. All 10 years gone in a flash. So the team separates. In order to disarm these bombs, they have to answer a personal question about me. Only my friends would know. And I don't know what the questions would be, but I know Twilight's was like, who is the love of Frisky's life? And we never know the answer to that question, but she gets it right. Amnesia bombs are disabled. All of us are standing side by side in our anthro forms, dressed up as rangers, and we do a final wave on Syrus. Because the whole time it's been revealed that he's been manipulating me because he's trying to take over my body and use me as a physical vessel to the real world. That's the twist. But we defeat him on top of the convention center, and we fade into the final stop of the Furry Farewell Tour, Anthrocon 2015. So this convention, I'm rooming with Ket, Twilight, and I think Ryu. And Pesky was supposed to come, he didn't make it. Yoko's rooming somewhere else. And, I'm getting ready for my masquerade. And it's a 6-minute dance, again, to those pictures I mentioned of AC. And at the end, I was going to dance to DJ Fallen in Love, which is like me and Twilight's song. So I was like, Yoko, um, you be the decoy while we're in rehearsals, but I wanted Twilight to come on stage with me during that song. Twilight's smart. She knew that was going to happen. And also, I was a dick because you should never surprise anyone like that. Bring them out on stage in front of people. That's no, like it worked at first of this because it was a small group of people, but his AC, she clearly like wasn't feeling the con even before the masquerade. She just wasn't feeling it. She doesn't like big cons, and she was supposed to leave because her husband needed her to drive her somewhere, so she was gonna leave early on Saturday night. I was like no, you can't leave. The con's not over. Um, at this point, I tell her about Kat. Tell her like, there's this girl I like. I'm trying to get her back. It's not working. And she asks me like, why? Like, why? Like, well, first of all, I do something stupid. I have them talk on the phone to each other. You should never have two girls that you're interested in talk on the phone to each other. But they did. And then she asked me like, well, why aren't you with her? Like, what stopped you from getting with her? And I pulled her aside and I revealed like what my original intentions were going to be, which was to tell her I had feelings for her and if she wanted to be with me, and that was just a stupid thing to do. So stupid. As you guys know, yeah, it's fucking stupid. She rightfully got angry and she told me, well, you had your chance. At first of this, I took it down, your rejection pretty hard. She also tells me that her husband kind of reminds her of me. Nice. But yeah, like, it was just the wrong thing to do, the wrong idea to have. And I regret it this very day. Because at that point, I thought I could do no wrong. I always had good intentions, especially when it came to my friends. But this time I was being selfish. I only thought about myself and how it would affect me. I wasn't aware of how my dumbass decision or dumbass idea to do that would affect everybody in my circle, not just me. Because Yoko found out, she got pissed. Rightfully so. And Yoko's never been pissed off at me, ever. Ket got pissed off at me because I was creating drama and I had TDK over late at night. And he's like, I'm not rooming with you at any con ever again. But yeah, it was a really, really stupid thing to do. And trust me, if I could do it differently, I would. Did I learn an important lesson from that? Absolutely. But at what cost? And this during this entire con, um, Kay is following me around. Like, she knows about Kat. She knows I'm interested in her. She didn't know anything about what was going on with Twilight. And at one point, I had to tell her again because Kay was starting to have feelings for me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm still trying to get with Kat, and I could tell she was upset. This AC was a beautiful disaster because you know what? Despite all that, the masquerade performance I put on, I watched it recently, was really good. it was it was really good. I messed up like one move, but you can't even tell. And since Yoko didn't want to do the actual masquerade anymore, which I don't blame her. She was like, I'm not feeling this, dog. Kay stepped in and she took her spot, and we, danced together. Did like a little synchronized thing at the end, and I'm thankful for that. She didn't have to do that, but she did. So yeah, I watched it for the first time in like years, and I really, it got overshadowed by all my bullshit. I take full responsibility for my missteps and my assumptions that I can still unravel, potentially unravel someone else's relationship. It's really fucked up because she was still single. It'd be different, but she wasn't, and I should have respected her husband. So I basically end AC on kind of like a very sour note. I'm at the waterfront where I usually give my post con wrap up. That's the tradition, and this time I was talking to Dream on Skype, and I'm just like, yo, I fucked up, dude. I fucked up bad. And, I hardly enjoyed the rest of that con because of the aftermath. So when I got back home, I went to see Kat, and I'm like, yeah, so that happened. And she doesn't want to give me a clear answer of if she'll take me back and give me another chance. And I'm like, oh, I guess we'll see what happens. And 3 months later, it's October 12th, 2015, 10 years after this whole story started officially, 10 years after I became a furry. I'm talking to Ked on the phone, and I'm telling him that I got someone new in my house, someone new that just moved in recently. And it turns out that Kay has moved into my house, and she is now my girlfriend, my official first girlfriend. And that's how my furry life ends. As you can see, if you've been paying attention, there's always been one thing that I wanted. Besides, friends and cool parties and traveling and fursuits. This whole decade, I've been trying to get into a relationship, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out. Whether I'm not good enough or I'm self sabotaging myself, because I'm really good at self sabotaging myself. I'm still learning how to not do that. So at the end of this story, I end up, with the mate, a furry girlfriend. But it's bittersweet because now I'm not friends with Twilight, and Kat has stopped talking to me. So it's like I got what I wanted, but at what cost? Was there a way to come to this conclusion without losing the people I care about? Absolutely. But during that year, I was just blinded by this new attention I got, and I took it for granted. So I learned a lot that year. I learned a lot. Basically, you got to respect people. Whatever your intentions may be, the first thing you should come to realize is what kind of actions or ripples they will have among not just you and them, but everybody else around you. Because people were pissed at me for a little while. It was a learning experience, very hard lesson. But since then, I've tried to become a better person. And I definitely try not to take people for granted anymore. Whether I'm interested in them romantically or not. And that was my furry life. If you guys want to know what happened in that 3 month gap, or just want to know what happened after I left the fandom, what I did after, what kind of things I did, or where my friends ended up, that sort of deal, what my views are on the fandom now that I've had so much distance away from it, well, I'm going to do a follow up. But if you just came to see what the hell my life was about, these 10 crazy years, and how I went from like dork on a computer on a furry form role playing to like having a girl live with me after 30 conventions, then I hope you were entertained. If you got any questions, any critiques, any judgments, feel free to comment below and I'll answer them. But until next time, guys, uh, yeah, love your friends, remember the good times, and be safe. Peace out.